Welcome to a special You Can Adopt conversation that we are having in a partnership with Dope Black Dads. Super excited today because I am going to be joined by Marvin and Yima, where we explore adoption. And today we are exploring what a welcome home truly feels like. And did you know that Black and mixed heritage children equate to 7% of all children in care, but only 2% of those in adoptive care? That's a huge gap. And 86% of all those surveys say that having a perfect home is one of the biggest barriers for them. And something that I found interesting, 41% of all adoptive carers actually live in a home with 2 bedrooms or less. And the big part of the conversation today is how we explore the idea that homes can mean many things, and not this perfect 2.4 picket fence type home, but real homes that real people live in. And actually, the barriers to adoption may not actually be barriers at all. Joining me today is Yema and Marvin, who come from West Africa, but they have a beautifully culturally and nuanced home and family. They have an older daughter who has now gone off to university, and they have managed to reestablish and build on their family with their new son. My favorite part is they actually look like they like and love each other. This is my favorite part of the conversation. But what the big question is whose peanut soup runs the home? Welcome. Come, grab a seat.
Thank you
very much. Good to be here.
Good to be here.
Thank you so much for coming down today. This is a really important topic, so I'm super excited.
Lovely.
But I do want to know, how are you though? Because it's still
How
relatively
are we?
early.
How
You should
are we?
search inside yourself before you answer. Like, how am I?
I love that, the way you just said it. Search inside yourself. Yes. I am good. Excited to be here.
That's good.
Really, really excited.
That flatters
A
me
bit
little
nervous.
Really?
But
What do you think the worst could be that can go wrong?
you know what? Because I've never done this before.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I'm safe, by the way. I'm like really warm. I've been doing this for
Yeah.
many years. There will be no harm that comes to either of you.
Oh, that's really good to hear.
That's good to hear.
I think as a reassuring thing, having a double, another Marvin, it's fantastic,
Whoa.
isn't it?
When you assert the idea of a double, it makes it sound as if we're on
Oh,
the same.
oh,
I'm
oh.
Marvin 1.
Yeah. And I'm Marv. People call
And
me
then God
Marv.
created a second because he
Yeah.
does that.
Well, people call me Marv, so Marvin. The town's big enough for
You'll
2
be
Marvins. Yeah. That's it. But
My ego's too big. I'm sorry. It's not.
But you know what? We're just delighted to be here because it's a topic which is very dear to our hearts.
Yes.
When we heard about the opportunity, we're like, absolutely love to share.
Look, I'll be honest. From my perspective, adoption is something that, even from a child, is like, I'd like to do that. It's like the noble thing that you assert to yourself that I would love to do it. I've never taken an actual step to do it. It's just in the back of my head, kind of ruminating. And I wonder what actually made you want to adopt?
That's a good question. The reason, we've always thought about it. Even before we got married, we just said, I wanted to adopt, even before we got married. And then I happened to marry this lovely man. And then, his dreams are the same. And also coming from a religious point of view, our beliefs in that way has helped us to get through that journey.
Yeah.
Giving a child a home, creating a home. And that means stability, that means love.
Yeah.
So
So it's interesting that you had it at different times. What was your version of discovering that you wanted to adopt?
So do you know what? Interestingly enough, we started the journey, been married 24 years. And when we got married, we're like, you know what? We want to have 2.2 kids. And, the third child will be the adopted child, after a certain amount of years. But, hey, the one up there didn't plan it in such a way. So we had a first biological child after, a few years trying. And then, we just went on the journey whilst we were planning number 2, and then realized that, part of, as Yema said, our dream to adopt, moved that much closer in this journey of adoption.
Yeah.
And, I'm sure we'll get into it, but it's been ups and downs, but an absolute blessing doing that adoption journey sooner than what we anticipated.
What did you imagine it was going to be like? What was your vision for adoption when you were thinking about it?
Well, our vision at that time, we were like, wow, paperwork, perseverance, patience, nerves.
Yeah.
At the time, we were thinking, ooh, what are the norms from our own cultural beliefs as well? So we were like, okay, how does this go? But one thing I would say, there's never a better time. You just have to put love in action. Yeah.
So you guys you was 25 years into your relationship before you did it, or
20.
now you're 25?
Now we're 25.
Yeah.
At the time, how many years were you in
was
at the time?
So 20, yeah.
years,
It's a bit of a
20 years.
timeline. Yeah, 25 years marriage. Had biological child number one, who's now 20 years old.
Oh wow!
And
He's a man himself.
a woman, yeah, a
lady
lady.
himself.
Sorry, that helps. Yes.
Yeah, that helps. That helps. She's a grown lady doing her own thing at university. But during COVID, so the short version is we went on an adoption journey probably in our 18th year of marriage, but few stop starts because we had some bereavement in the family, and we thought, look, when we start the journey, let's kind of pause and make sure we are emotionally ready. And then phase number 2 was during COVID, and what was really attractive is a lot of stuff was all online. So normally you kind of go into training, etc. But because of a lot of online thing happened, that helped to kind of expedite the journey. So, but we get into it. I mean, when we met our adoptive son, it was love at first sight. But in answer to your question, what was our vision? Our vision is to bring an adopted child into our family and for them to be part of the family, forever family. And just feel and experience the blessing of that individual being part of the family.
Yeah. There's so many ideas around what limitations there are for the type of person that adopts. And even me as a grown-up was like, oh, I can't adopt because I don't have my partner yet, or I don't have my house yet, or I don't have a car, my house isn't big enough, or I'm not, I don't know, I haven't make enough money. There's a lot of misinformation in the idea of bringing somebody into your family. What's true and what's not? Do you know how to demystify that? Because I think a lot of people are misinformed.
I think in all sense, people feel that I was talking about the readiness previously. Readiness, it does help in terms of understanding traumas, early childhood. Really plays a great part in that sense. But also what I need to say, as a person of your own, you need to be able to provide that love. You don't need the bigger house. You need the bigger heart to love, to create that stability, to create that warmth, to create what it looks like to have a home. What is home meaning to you? Home is creating that rooted and flexibility at the same time. So that's what it means. You don't need to have the bigger house, the bigger garden, because a child really doesn't really need all that. All they need is that person that is willing to love and willing to get that embracement. That's for me.
Marvin, was there any part of the process where you felt like we probably wouldn't qualify, or we're not quite right, or there might be questions that we were worried about that ended up just not being true?
Yeah. So good question. And you know what, can we keep it real and get the white elephant out of this room? And so the white elephant was, for us, because we'd gone through a period of bereavement, that's one, the social services, really questioning our emotional stability. But more to the point, my parents had just gone through divorce. And so that was a huge thing. I mean, for me personally, in order to kind of absorb that, I mean, they'd been married previously for 40 odd years. And I was going through my own kind of journey dealing with that, but I felt mentally prepared to actually embrace an adopted child in the family. And, when you go through the really rigorous adoption process, which it needs to be, you have to kind of justify and explain where you are in that emotional journey of emotions, and also be questioned about the kind of trauma that you've dealt with. And I understand the reason why the process is that rigorous, but I felt at that time that could be that fly in the ointment of them saying, well, actually, you're not quite ready. But yeah.
It's a really vulnerable process, isn't it, to go and dig around in those things and have to find. I suppose you have to share answers that make them feel safe in hearing what it is that you're experiencing. It doesn't have to be perfect, but they can see that you understand what's going on for you or why you show up that way. Have you audited how you were raised and thought about what that felt like and what kind of home you grew up with and what the values were and the behaviors that were acceptable versus not? Have you audited those things?
So do you know what? Yes, we have definitely audited those things. And again, keeping it real for us is understanding that, it's a bit like that saying, you can't chuck the baby with the bathwater.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Because the thing is, our experiences has shaped who we are, Yem and I. I mean, so Yem is from Sierra Leone, I'm from Ghana. And even within that kind of West African culture, there are differences in cultures. But for us, where we've gone through in our journey of parenting and marriage has prepared us for that adoption process. And so really quickly, as an example, like even having differences in food. So when I'm from Ghana, we cook peanut soup, and our peanut soup is lighter, and we have it with fufu. You're saying, hopefully you've tasted that.
No, do you know,
if not,
it's been a
might come
part.
to
I
my
haven't
house.
tasted it, but we literally ordered all of those things,
Right.
and they were there. I didn't get to eat it, though, but now I really
Bro,
understand.
You got to come over for dinner. You know, we'd love
This
to
is the
have it.
second thing you've invited me to. I'm coming, by the way.
You need to come.
I'm not one of those people. I will turn up at your house. So
Turn up, bro. Don't wait for a direct invite. If you see the lights on,
yes, remember me?
yeah. But do you know what? The thing is, like I was explaining the cultural differences. Like our peanut soup is lighter, in Sierra Leone it's thicker, it's like a stew. But all of these things has actually enriched our experiences to adopt our child into our home. So I think it was just understanding that a lot of our background prepares us from that journey. Obviously, I've had to kind of deal with my own trauma, emotional background. You know, I mentioned a kind of dark time in my family, going through the kind of separation process, but it's made me more resilient in who I am.
I think openness as well, because it's quite important that you bring in a child who's already experienced trauma. So you have to be open about where you are at, and also seeking that help. So our cultural differences, you know, bring a richness to our experiences, and also to be ready to bring that child into your home. So I would say being open and also seeking your support network, your community is quite important. You know, just seeking that support as well as seeking the knowledge of what it means to adopt. You know, I would encourage people to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think the most important question is that whose peanut soup is the family peanut soup? Who represents? Who win the battle?
Bro, we're not going to get into the
Trying to start a little war.
Yes. After 25
Because
years.
I'm the one that cooks.
Okay, so yours. The
So
thicker
yeah,
one.
I'm cooking that. He's a good cook.
Yeah.
He
But
gets
on
his
the
hand.
traditional,
On
I'm
the
not quite at that
traditional.
level,
He's
you know?
not quite at that level yet.
Keeping it real.
You can make foods to survive,
Yeah,
and you
That's
make
it.
the food of the culture.
that's right.
earthly-
That's a
earthly
good
foods.
food. Yeah.
That's a good balance.
It's good
man.
balance.
We've
It
been
works.
investigating relational balance in relations for the longest time.
Yeah.
That sounds like a win for me. We need to
We
put this on
are.
a poster somewhere.
Nice.
And so the idea of like bringing somebody into your family, how do you make your home ready? Like what adjustments did you have to make? What things did you have to give up? Did you have to throw away the golf clubs and, you know, just to get a different car? Did you have to, you know, what happened?
Good question.
First of all, you start with readiness of mind.
Yeah.
Because that's very, very key. You know, you're getting ready to bring a bundle of joy into her. When I think about her son, it's like bundle of joy, you know, into our home. You know, he has his own story, and this is our own experience, and we embrace so readiness of mind is very key. You know, also readiness of the people that you associate with, because they're very key to that journey as well, helping us settle, you know, getting the room ready. It was really, and finding out what does our son like, you know, from the foster carer, reading things, you know, those are very, very key part to play in the readiness.
What did you have to give up, Marvin?
Yeah.
So, you know what? Hey, I'm a huge football fan, and
What's your team?
the Reds, the true Reds, Liverpool.
Oh, that's
But,
this is weird.
Never
but
walk
You took me
alone.
on a whole journey. Firstly, I was looking at you, and because you have kind eyes, I felt like it was going to be Arsenal. Then, when you said the true Reds, I thought, oh, Man United, I get it. West Africa's relationship with Man United is overly sold. Then you went Liverpool.
Yeah.
But you know what?
Explain yourself.
But you know what? At the moment this season, things are not quite panning that well for us. So
I wasn't
I'm
even
gonna
thinking
kind of
about
park
right now. That's even worse.
I'm gonna kind of
I
park
think
that
with
because
their slogan, "You never walk alone," that's key.
thanks, darling. Well said.
You know what? I'm observing a wife moment that's really profound. You got his back. It's fine.
Of course, she's always got my back.
I'll put away my football swords for now, as an Arsenal fan.
But do you know what? I mean, hey, you know, those kind of things could take a lot of the time over the weekend. I mean, I don't religiously go to games and stuff like that, but even just, the time of watching on telly. But as Yema was saying, on a kind of important basis, is that prep, that mindset prep. So there was a lot of reading, and I've got to put it out there to people. So I think it's, there's some educational aspect in terms of learning trauma. What is trauma? That the child is coming through a period of trauma. So our son had been with the foster carer from quite young. And so we're really keen that we, as Yem was saying, understand all of the background that he'd been through and the dynamics coming into our family, prepping our daughter, our biological daughter, to make sure she's also going to be demonstrating, those values, that sense of belonging that he'll need. And then I think for me, in terms of the practical here and there, just for people out there, is just making sure that I'm available. My dad was always available for me in terms of, African fat dad, providing financially, holding 2 jobs, working class background. But I think for me, just being there emotionally as well, not just being there at home on the sofa, but being there emotionally for him, for when he has that bit of rant. Because, we went through quite a difficult time in the first year where he was very needy, very clingy. Needed to really give him my undivided attention.
Even that you were there. What generational curses are you breaking?
So I think just from a kind of cultural background in terms of, our age factor. So I grew up in the kind of generation where my dad went out there, breadwinner, and mum was at home, doing her bit in the households. And for me, I think my definition of parenting is on an equal par, that I'm there to support Yema. I mean, we both work full time, got really busy, pressurizing, senior jobs, but I'm there to also support Yema with the home environment and with the dishes and the cleaning and all the things that goes with it. So I think for me, it's been there in all those respects.
Do you know what? This moment reminded me of an interview I saw with Jay-Z and Beyonce, and they were like, "Oh, when's your next album coming out?" And they were like, "Well, the wife's got to go on tour." And they were like, "Yeah, but how does that stop you?" Like, and he was like, "Well, we're a 2-income household." And it kind of reframed how people probably viewed them both. It's like we're both doing the same amount of things. There is no delineation between
100%.
You do all the house stuff and you work and I discipline and point a lot. So I do think that's a really beautiful graduation. Yeah, but is it really like that? This is the part where you get to throw him on the bus. Is it really like that?
No, he's on.
He's trying it, isn't it?
I know, he doesn't need to go under the bus. He's doing what he said he's doing,
Okay. As a man, I'm here to hold him accountable.
Absolutely. I welcome that. I appreciate it. But also,
beautiful.
it's just modeling that. Modeling that to our son, and all helping to understand that, mom and dad are here because he's coming from an unsteady background. So we need to be there. And also teaching our daughter, preparing her as well, because she was with us for 14 years without no siblings. And all of a sudden, she knew that we wanted to adopt. She always knew, even when the social workers were speaking to us, she was like, I didn't know when it was going to happen, but mom and dad always talked about it. So she was open to it, to welcome. Even now, their relationship, seeing that relationship growing every day. So it's very important to have that. So I'm grateful that things are working out. Like Marvin is saying, we've been able to create that safe environment for our little one to settle. And also, you need to build those trusted adults around you and trusted people that can support you through the journey in terms of like mentoring, in terms of like friendship and community. Our social worker was very cultural. He had the cultural competency. So she understood that, you need your church family as well. They help to create that safe environment. And I think those are the things that have helped him to settle in our care as well.
Yeah, that's beautiful. What is the role of faith in how you raise family, your marriage, your individual life?
Yeah, I'll take that. I think, so for us, we're Christians, and, that's maybe for another podcast version.
No, absolutely. We'd love to hear.
In terms of how we met, but, hey, we met through church. Interestingly enough, I was looking at that time for a wife. And I thought, we're best to actually look for one, not in the club, but hey, maybe in church.
I fully agree with you.
Fully agree. But ultimately for me, I was looking at someone who could really model the things that I believed in, which is, understanding, hey, we're here by, a divine intervention, and we're here for a purpose. And we talked a lot about what led us to adoption was our faith, because in a lot of we see in scriptures that there's a role for providing for the widows, the orphans, those who are destitute, and those who are needy. And we thought, look, we want to fulfill that ask in our marriage, but ultimately for us, it's realizing that our life purpose is actually to give back to society, to give back to those around us, and that's what keeps us grounded.
Yeah, faith is quite important to us in terms of we're not going to shove it down our adopted son or daughters, but it creates a
that's
base.
very interesting. So you don't inform that into them. Have they taken it up on their own accord?
Yeah, they've taken our daughter is taking that up on her own.
And
She's and our son, he loves going to church with us. He loves the children's class. He's built friendships, which are quite important.
That's beautiful.
Because that's part of his story as well, creating that stability. But also, even for people that are not, that don't have a faith, build a community around you. Even our neighbors, I remember when our son came to live with us, our neighbors were so happy because they knew that we only had a daughter for a long period of time, and few of them knew that we wanted to adopt, because it's conversations that we've had, over the fence. So there was that sense of like everybody was welcoming, bringing food, bringing gifts. So you could see that as well. So that's all, even if you don't have a religion, keep a community around you that would create that support. Friendship at work, people that understand what it means to adopt. But don't be afraid. The local authority provides a lot of support in terms of classes. So tap into that,
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Can you take me through the kind of how it felt, the moment when your son joined your family, that actual moment? What did it feel like? I think a lot of the times, I suppose that's the big kind of star moment, isn't it? Like the moment they come in and it's like, you're here now, you're with us, you're a part of our family. What does that feel like?
Wow. I remember when we started printing out his pictures to put them on the wall, kind of giving him a familiar faces as well, so that he understands that he's here, because he came a week before just to spend time with us. And then he finally moved over the second week. And it was like, wow, from a family of 3 to a family of 4.
Yeah.
Wow, he's now with us. We had to really, it was the love at first sight. The moment we saw him, it was the first child we were shown. And we had a connection in that sense of like, okay, his background is French speaking, Marvin speaks French. So we're like, okay.
That's nice.
And then to tell you, a funny thing was like, the birthdays are quite close.
He's a day before mine.
A day before.
So he's kind of ruined your little week a little bit. That's the only downside.
It was he's the star of the show now.
Yeah.
And
I'm a bit old now.
You can hand it over, it's fine.
Our daughter is born in the same month.
Wow.
So that was
September.
September. It kind of drew our hearts to. So everything, but it was like, this is forever. But because we're mentally prepared, we were able to embrace that change. Like 3 to 4, we're ready now. Here we go. And just hearing him running back and forth in the hallway, trying to
How old was he when he joined your family?
Just a
year and a
year,
half.
3 weeks before his second birthday.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
As Yema mentioned, when he came in at that age, I mean, just the transformation was remarkable, because when he came in, quite introverted, and again, we talk about understanding, social norms and backgrounds. So because his environment was predominantly around women in the house with his foster carer, I was pretty much the bad cop. But again, having that time to really bond with him emotionally, etc., just changed the dynamics in weeks, where he became my best buddy. And obviously, I mean, Yema took what you took. Is it 6 months?
Yeah, I took a whole year off.
Yeah, she took a year off work, and it doesn't have to be like that for everyone. But again, it's been us being intentional about how we can make him feel belong in our home environment, apart from just having pictures on the wall, but that emotional connection, and that comes through making the time investment to bond with him.
Yeah, that sounds deeply profound, the idea of taking a year off, the real exercise of deep integration. How do you manage the sort of friction between what newness brings and what you already have? Because you want to be able to keep what you've established as a family culture already, but you also want to leave room. How do you balance? And what did he end up bringing that was kind of like, we don't do this normally, but now we're doing this?
I think it's that flexibility. You have to be flexible,
Yeah.
and also have to be willing to, to talk with your social workers. They're there. Talk through things. But what I want to put out as well, that you don't have to be married to adopt. You can be a single mom, a single woman, and adopt. There's a lot of support with the local authorities offering that. So those are things that I really want people to know. Though for us, we're lucky we're married. It's two people, but that shouldn't stop you from adopting. So yeah, it's that newness, the newness of understanding. Okay, he's a boy, we've got a girl. I got to adjust.
Yeah, and
on the energy basis.
Yeah, 100%. I was going to go there, darling, because, and Marvin's laughing here, because boys and girls different fabric in terms of dynamics. Forget the book. You're men from Mars, women from Venus. But just having young toddlers. I mean, our boy is so energetic. I mean, the amount of energy he's got, and even now. That's why we invest a lot of extracurricular activities. He does taekwondo, he does swimming, he does, you name it, because we want to make sure there's a vehicle for him to burn off that energy. So what we've had to adapt in, again, is making that kind of time to engage him with other activities outside school. And just also prepping our daughter in terms of, how to be that big sister role model to really support him. And, let's be frank, the first month, 2 months, obviously because of his age, there was a lot of a bit of jealousy in terms of, okay, who are you, big sister, and you invaded my space here. I want mum and dad to myself, and so we also had to spend some time with our daughter to make sure that she feels secure. What we've built over the 14 years as his little brother's coming in, and to make sure that she's also been able to give that love to our adoptive son. And that's what's really helped till now, that our daughter's now at university away from London, and every time she's back, he just loves it. Like, oh, you're back, and can I have a sleepover with you, and all that kind of stuff. But because of what we've tried to invest in the foundational period.
That's really beautiful. What would you say are, for you, the village? Who is in the village, and what role do they play in sort of supporting you through this time? Because it isn't, obviously, it's great foundations. You talked about your daughter. Who else is in that village?
Yeah, we've got couples in church who've adopted as well. So that was a bonus to us. They'd already gone through that journey, so they were able to share their own experiences, their own trials. And also in terms of, I mentioned our daughter's childminder, who was not part of our own culture. She was white English lady, very embracing in that sense. She was all there with us. And so that's part of our community. Neighbors as well. Our neighbors on both ends at the time, still is, very welcoming friends. You have to have trusted friends, because the adoption process can be really rigorous. So you need to be able to talk to those people how it is. Very intrusive. So, but which, fair enough, that's what they need to, because these kids need to be safe. Who they're going to place them. So those are our community.
What would you consider a welcoming home? If you had to be very explicit to somebody, like imagine we're talking to the Black community right now. We're saying that, you don't have to have the perfect home based on, Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. What actually is that home? What does it look like? What does it feel like? What does it sound like?
Yeah. Well, on that analogy of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, we're probably telling our age here, aren't we? Well, you are.
I watched the reruns.
But you know what? It's not the Bel-Air, big mansion and big drive and big garden. It's definitely not that. And I think, you touched on it a bit before, to say, we do need to debunk that stereotype out there. And let's be frank, in this current economic conditions where there's a cost of living and people are finding it difficult, and they could be saying, wow, my dream to adoption could be even further removed because I don't own my home. So you don't need to own your own home. You could be renting, that's fine. You don't need to have a big garden, that's fine. Hey, the local authority would want you to have a bedroom available for that adopted child coming in. But ultimately, as Yema kept talking about, is that one word, 4 letters, LOVE, love. And for me, is being able to actually, let that love overflow out of your heart to give to that child coming into your home, and ultimately, you know, a lot of some of the ingredients Yema's talked about before is having that ecosystem network around us. So, you know, we've got family, friends, neighbors, etc., who could be the people who could really make a difference. So really quickly, some of my best buddies out there, and hey, our child knows them. Hey, Uncle Mike's coming around, and they've known Uncle Mike from day one when they came into the home. And guess what? Uncle Mike still comes to the home and looks out for our adoptive son, and they've got a great relationship. So I would really say what's really important, especially, and I've got to throw it out there, when we look at the statistics, Marvin, in terms of in the foster care environment, did you know that only 2% of Black young boys will make it from that foster care home into adoption? And for us, it breaks our heart because it shouldn't be that way. And that's why we're really keen to speak to people out there that a lot of these myths are probably made in people's minds, and just engage in the process, go for an open evening and find out.
Yeah. If you were being candid and transparent, if you were to itemize the hardest parts, the stages and the, you know, like you want to almost say it in a way which is like, I want to scare you off, but it's worth pushing through. Like, what are those things that people can really get to grips with in advance and be ready for it to experience?
I think being open to have conversations, ask questions, you know, go for the open sessions and where in your local area where you are, speak to people who've adopted. You know, everybody will have different experience, but be open. And also the paperwork actually is quite long. It's like when we did that, it's like 70 pages. Wow. So people that have got neurodiversity, you know, you need to be open. That shouldn't stop you because there should be help around there. And those are the things that we're considering as well, you know, as adopters who've adopted, you know, to share those experiences and to mentor, you know, find mentors that can help you in those stages, and also talk to you. The social workers are there to support you. That home is about creating stability, creating warmth, bringing happiness. Well, how do you do that? We all got to do it together. It's a system.
And just to kind of also speak to people, do need to understand what are the kind of, it can seem like a Mount Zion kind of moment, but the adoption process is long, is rigid, and rightly so because of a lot of the safeguarding. So without going into the nano micro detail, it is a 4-step process in terms of exploration, the registration, the matching, etc. And as Yema says, when you're going through the kind of registration process, there's a lot of paperwork. You know, you've got to be willing to go to those difficult times in your kind of journey where you've perhaps faced trauma and how you've dealt with that trauma. Because if individuals haven't dealt with the trauma and you are about to take a child who has gone through trauma, that could be a really bad combination. But I think just to put it out as well, and you've touched on it, Yema, about in some ethnic communities, because of the neurodiversity challenges, they could be put off. So I mean, hey, I'm dyslexic, but I see myself as my brain is wired in a different way, and it's a superpower. And
absolutely.
So hey, if you see 70 pages, that might be off-putting. But I think it's just letting your social worker know that, look, these are some of the challenges I've got. How do we work through it? There's a lot of reading. There's books to read. But in this modern day, guess what? There's YouTubes. You could be looking through some videos. So there's ways around it. But I think for me, as Yema's pointed out, really be open to what's the challenge for you as part of that process. Speak to the social worker and work in collaboration through that. And just, I think, lastly as well, I mean, there might be people thinking, okay, finances, or I must have a big deposit in my bank account. Not really. Obviously, you've got to be stable financially, not just stable emotionally. But again, these are not insurmountable things that you could work through.
Sounds really good. What was the moment when you realized, like, he's yours? Because there's like a transition period. You spoke about him coming into the house, what you did. What's the point where you're like, oh, this is our son. He's here, and he's not going anywhere.
So I think, look, just legally, it's when you get the papers through.
Legal is when you get the papers through.
Because you do the matching, they're with you at home, but it doesn't mean that legally, that child, when I say yours, not like an asset, but as in living with you and having
under
the
your
surname change, etc. But I think when we finally got the adoption order through the courts and come through and saying, hey, that child's name, it's just wonderful.
I must say, added to that, because we started to feel like it's ours. Because the onus is upon you guys as adopters to then make forward that paperwork to then put to the court and says, I want to legally take on the child. So we were ready by 3 months.
Into that process, because we knew there was no turning back. Also recognize some people may want to have the child in their homes and give it some time and space to see how things are working. So different strokes for different folks. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, just being open to just explain to the local authority how you feeling through the process, because it's so key. And those helps are there. There's counselings offered, so many things. But even I'm talking to global majority people, coming from that background, not wanting to share, just share. If you don't share, you don't get the help that you need. So just talk through things. And they was like, okay, are you guys ready? You willing to move forward? So we talk things through before we put the paperwork. So it's really key.
If you think about the people who were like me, who had the dream from a child, and then I get to an adulthood and I haven't moved forward, what would be the thing that you would say that would bring it more to the front of mind for those people at the consideration stage?
Good question. And thank you for that question, by the way, because again, we're getting lots of white elephants out this room. But in our, I'm going to tell my age now, but in our kind of, bracket, people might be thinking it's not cool to adopt because there are taboos, especially in our...
You haven't said the number yet, I'm waiting, go on.
Dudes, not just ladies don't disclose our age. But there's a few grey hairs here. I don't know.
I saw them, but I didn't want to. Get involved. I don't have that problem, so I just wanted to know.
Is it just for men? Yeah.
No, nothing. Just life.
But do you know what? In our kind of age bracket, people might be thinking, "Oh, taboo. What are you adopting?" It might be frowned upon. So when we adopted, I mean, I took my parents through, but some of their kind of friends at their generation were like, "Oh, Marvin, why are you adopting?" Do you know what I mean? And for me, I was really comfortable saying, look, that was a life dream. As we said at the start, our 2.2 kids kind of dream didn't materialize. And so, hey, adoption was the natural best thing to do. So some people may be worried about explaining that kind of taboo of why you're adopting, and it's not probably a dumb thing. But I think now the younger generation, is it the Gen Z? I always kind of forget.
one of the numbers. Alphas.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think it's a totally different dynamics because as for them, it's about, okay, how do I create what I need for my environment rather than what society tells me and being dictated by society. So I think it's fantastic. And as Yema says, whether someone is a single mom, single dad, or single parent, that shouldn't also put them off. But I think for us, it's really keeping true to our dream of what we wanted to do.
To add to that, what Marvin has just said, because I remember when we were going through the session, they had classes that you can bring friends to, you can bring grandparents, just to educate them what adoption is. So I would encourage people to, get the older generation, if they want to be their supportive network, to encourage them to come to the class. Because I think knowledge is key. When people understand it, the myths are there, because we do adoption in our culture, but it's non-named adoption. It's quite different. When you get the child from your auntie to look after another village, come and live with you.
There's like barrel children, there's farming, which was another process that happened. There are many, many processes, and almost we have a village culture in from where we're from. So it's kind of every child is an extension of ours. So you're right in that terms, that it's intuitive to us in a different way. We just name it differently.
It's just named differently. But in our culture now, it's just to educate people. Classes are there for to tell them what adoption is and how they can be supportive to the people that are adopting. So, as Marvin said, he had to have that conversation because my parents are no longer. So I didn't have to deal with that as such. But my cousins were there; they were very supportive as well. So that's what we're saying.
Now that you've adopted, what does the concept of home mean now?
Yeah, so I think for me, nothing has changed because, again, going back to the genesis of when we met, 24 to 25 years ago. So we've known each other 30 years because, we're dating and then we got married. But the vision we had for home and family was born from us communicating and having that shared definition of what's home and what's family. And I mean, ultimately, just kind of breaking it down, what does that look like? It looks like one word: unity, being unified in our dreams, aspirations. And so parenting is a journey, We were having a joke a bit before about, are your kids still laughing at your jokes? So for us at every stage, whether it's our 20-year-olds, who's in the university phase, because now it's not parent-child relationship, it's literally about, how do we support? So when I'm conversing with her, it's like, what do you think about X, Y, and Z? Rather than, you must do this. And obviously for a young boy, it's more, parent-child, because that child is in that age bracket. But I think at every stage in the parenting journey is us communicating, okay, wow, what are the challenges now and how do we want to actually meet that challenge? So there's a lot of communicating and making the space for us to make sure we're on the same page.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, for us, that home means like that base of love, rooted in love, rooted in flexibility, rooted in affirming, affirming that love, because that's one thing we learned even in the journey with our child. Just affirm.
Which for me hasn't naturally, because of my background, but it doesn't mean it's garbage background, but background that how my dad loved me has to evolve, so typical African family, the love is shown through, hey, I put food on the table.
I did it, didn't it? So obviously I must love you.
Do you know what I mean? Or not really showing emotion, crying. And so for me, I had to really remodel my definition of parenting and how I love both my daughter and our son, and growing in that journey, especially for our adoptive son.
Look, Marvin, Yuma, thank you so much for joining and having this conversation. I feel warmed, which is the number one thing, but I also feel quite moved. And I think I want to investigate further. So thank you both for having that conversation with me.
Oh, it's
Thank
an
you.
absolute
It's
pleasure.
a pleasure. Yeah, it's a pleasure.
So we'll have to make sure he turns up for that peanut soup.
Sure, we have to make sure that.
You're saying it like it's a difficult thing.
You're a busy lad.
No, I'll find time. There's food being offered. I'm definitely there. Thank you. For more information on how to start your own research on adoption, please visit www.youkanadopt.co.uk/Black Adopters.